Hey guys, welcome back to Homesteading Off the Grid in a very frigid morning ramble. It's a little bit after 8 a.m. my time as I record this, and it is 20 degrees. But I'm up here rambling anyway, not just because I'm crazy, but because the birds need to be fed, and these up here have been fed. And we've got many crayons going up, and I'm going to give a couple shout outs here for a few of them. And I'm setting a little bit below where I normally set because everything is covered in snow and ice right now. And I want to show you the view of the weeds in the field. They've got little ice crystals all over them, and it's absolutely beautiful as the sun reflects off of them. I don't know if you can see that or not. I hope you can. But guys, I tell you, I'm very excited to be up here and ramble this morning because last night, the investigation of the soul revealed some unfathomable truths that I wasn't going to share, but what a serendipitous chain of events took last night with a comment made by our subscriber Janine Park last night around midnight my time. What I thought was a dream this morning, but what I realized was actually just memories as I was already awake and didn't realize I was awake, very suppressed memories. And then my son saying something while he slept in his sleep that put it all together. Guys, it's incredible. So let me get started. I want to give a shout out to Ann Kennedy. You know, we've had a lot of requests come in for the Ornaments of Inspiration. Ornaments of Inspiration going up in our Tree of Triumph and around our Field of Faith. And Ann Kennedy has been a very loyal, faithful subscriber for a long time. She's here every day, always commenting, being positive. Last night, she made a triple request. She wants a purple crayon for her friend Jay, who lost both 18-year-old sons to a drunk driver last year around this time. Anniversary's hitting her friend Jay pretty hard. Ann wants a yellow crayon for Dee, who just lost his mother, who was one of those great neighborhood moms all the kids loved. And then a white crayon for the S family, who has had many struggles, and they just lost their 30-year-old son, who, as Ann worded it, he finally lost his battle with his demons. He couldn't deal with it any longer. So, and you've got your 3 crayons going up today. And then there's a golden crayon I'll be putting up for Janine Park. Now, guys, here is the strange series of events. This sounds very strange, but I bet if you listen closely, many of you have had this exact same experience. You are in bed, you think you're asleep, you're having a dream that seems so real that you think it is real, but you don't awaken from this dream because at some point you come to realize you are already awake. And what it is it's a very deeply suppressed memory that you probably could have never remembered if you were in your full stages of awakeness. You know, if your whatever brain waves were in full function. It's like you had to be way down deep in those delta waves where we sleep, just somewhere between there and sleep for these things to come out. So this is happening to me this morning, and I'm not going to go into detail about what these memories were, but there's certainly things. I mean, it was 30 plus 40, maybe 40 years ago. And I'm sitting there. By this time, you know, I go in, it's almost 6. I make my coffee, I build up the fire. I'm sitting there remembering these things, thinking of these things, and my son, who is asleep, I hear him say, "It's like a pattern." I look over. We last night we blew up an air mattress, put it in the living room in front of the fireplace, and we camped out because we knew it was going to get down into the teens last night. So we said, okay, let's be proactive. Being here, we've got the heat, we've got our wood stove. Let's shut off these other doors, and we'll kind of be centrally located. It was great. It's like we camped out in the living room. As cold as it is and as cold as it got, we stayed warm as bugs in a rug because of this. And we do this sometimes when it gets really, really, really cold, like below 20. So I'm on the couch drinking coffee. I look over and he says, "It's like a pattern." And he smiles and his eyes are open for a second. Then he goes right back to sleep. He never woke up. Here's the significance of this, okay? You know, they say every stream has a source. I would take that quite a bit further and say every stream has multiple sources. Because let's look at a stream the size of the Mississippi River. I mean, how many sources does the Mississippi River have? So when we view our lives, we view why we are the way we are, why we do things the way we do things, why we think the way we think, why we've made the decisions we've made in our past. All the things that accumulate together to get us to where we are right now, it's because of all these streams coming together to form that one main stream, which is us. Now, we can trace every stream back to its source, and we can trace every stream back to its multiple sources. However, some of those sources are unfathomable. We don't want to look there. Sometimes we repress these things and we don't, but sometimes they do come back when we do these very deep soul searching, soul investigations, which is kind of like, I kind of do this a little more so, not so much by choice here for the last month or so, that we've been having these Ornaments of Inspiration going up for you folks who have been coming into the channel and letting us know about your struggles, your hardships, things you've overcome, the challenges you face, and the way you've triumphed. A lot of this is reminding me of stuff that I'd long forgotten. So I'm sitting there, I'm thinking, wow, that's really deep. I understand that so much better now. But the key point is not just getting to those unfathomable bottoms of those, the bottom of the well where the spring comes up, but it's accepting it. It's naming it for what it is, accepting it, forgiving some of those, forgiving them all of those stream sources, understanding that, like my son said in his sleep, it's a pattern. So much of it was learned behavior. So much of it goes back generations. And we have to forgive, and we have to decide to, and I mentioned this many times, put down that weight. So a lot of times it's just toxicity from our past, toxicity that's been there for before we existed. We have to put it down, walk away, move forward. This is where Janine Park comes in, because I had this revelation and I thought, that's so powerful, but there's no way I'm going to talk about that. I'm just not going to talk about these things. Well, Janine Park, who I'm dedicating a crayon today for her, her son, and in memory of her late husband Jim, who died 7 years ago of a massive heart attack at only 37 years old. Janine, you too are getting a yellow crayon. In my mind, it's gold to represent the gold medal, supreme victory, and triumph for what you've overcome. I'm going to read you some highlights of Janine's comment, because, guys, I know you're with me so far. You're saying, yeah, I relate. I know what you're saying. Bring it, brother, bring it. Okay, I'm going to let Janine bring it. Listen to what she wrote. These are several highlights from her comments. She wrote, quote, "I no longer tolerate anything from anyone who doesn't pay my bills, feed me, or make me happy in some way. R.E. toxic people from my past." And she went on at length about her past, but I'm not going to share, some of those details here, but it was quite toxic. And she said, quote, "The only way in the end to save my own sanity was to bid them adieu." She's talking about certain people from her past who were toxic, didn't want to get over the toxicity. She simply bid them adieu to save her own sanity. And she further said, "Healing them is not my responsibility. Healing myself is." As I mentioned, she lost her husband Jim 7 years ago, massive heart attack. He was only 37. When she lost him, just before she lost Jim, she decided to put Jim, their son, and herself before anyone else. This is when she wrote off a lot of people, because she was given 110% of what she had, heart, soul, mind, and spirit, to her son, and Jim, who was struggling with health, and of course lost his battle with his health issues. Afterwards, she went through a very deep depression, in which she said in her comments she almost ended it all together after Jim's passing. She went on to talk about how she will meet anyone halfway. Now, these are the toxic people from the past. But she said if they tried to give her back that weight she put down, and you'll remember if you've been following these rambles, I talk about how it's like that cannonball, we're holding on to it. This is that heavy weight that we just don't want to let go of, and there's no way we can begin to get better, begin to move forward, until we just release that weight and let it go. She says that if they try to give it back to her, she lets them keep it. She refuses to take it. She walks away. And then she said in closing, "Maybe I'm not true to my ancestral DNA, but I'm true to my own." This is powerful. This last sentence, she says, "I'm not a victim nor a survivor. I may have been at one time, but now I'm a thriver." Guys, this is powerful beyond measure. Janine Park, you inspired me on this very cold December morning to come out here in 20-degree temperatures and tell your story. Hang a crayon for you and Jim and your son. And I know there's a lot of people listening to this morning ramble who needed to hear that. Guys, it's one thing to trace that stream back to its source. And sometimes that source is unfathomable. Sometimes many of those sources are unfathomable. But we can't dwell at the original well of the stream. There's so many little birds up here eating the seed I put out for them this morning. I hope you can see them. And guys, like Janine says, you know, at first, I guess we're victims. I mean, to a degree, but then we've got to understand that we can make the choice to put that ball down, move forward, carry on, and have a very successful and happy, a life filled with joy. We can be survivors, okay? But past that point, like Janine says, it's not about being a victim or a survivor. If we entirely put down that weight and we entirely refuse to let anyone give it back to us, that, my friends, is when we are thrivers. So thanks for being with me for another morning ramble. I'm going to give you a beautiful parting shot of our homestead covered in snow. It's a winter wonderland. We'll see you guys for more next time.